We are fixing this Volvo today. Actually, got an issue with the depth system. And luckily we sent somebody to the parts store and picked up a new part. This is the depth pump. And the issue with it is the connector actually inside. There's probably a circuit board, but the seal where the connector plugs into has failed. I guess it's actually a common issue on these Volvo trucks. This is a newer, like 2020 VNL semi. But I've got this connector. This is the one that plugs in. Take you around and show you. This connector right here. I actually had a broken pin. Well, it rotted off of the old pump. This is the new pump. And this is a sub harness that plugs into the main harness. And it runs down here. And then over there and around the def tank to this side. Okay. So I got to get this off. And what I'm trying to do is I'm going to take these corroded terminals out. I'm going to rebuild this connector and sort of make a temporary fix to get this truck back up and running because, well, it's Friday night and this truck runs 7 days a week, so it needs to be ready to go for tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. But yeah, basically, figure out how to get that off. These are always a mystery. There really isn't anywhere to find out how to take these apart. I got my trusty bucket of wires here. I'm gonna find some terminals and see all the different sizes and styles. I'm gonna find something that fits those pins properly. I'm gonna take those out, depopulate this connector, and repopulate them with clean pins so that the corrosion does not transfer onto those pins here on the new module or the new pump. So I guess really what I got to do here, get some light on there. So I got to get this off, grab me some tools. Like I say, it's Friday night. I'm actually believe it or not on holidays, but because I'm the only one that seems to know how to repair things, or I shouldn't say that, there's some people around here that can repair stuff. I just seem to know how to get around it without actually removing and replacing things. I tend to be on call, so whoops. Lots of zip ties. Let's see if I can get down in there. That's a tough one to get to. Well, if I can get this off. There's one. There's two. Yeah, it sucks on these trucks. Everything's zip tied together. And it's just a cluster. Like, obviously, you got all these def lines in there. It just sucks. Everything's all stuck together. Looks like we got another connector in behind here, another Christmas tree clip. Yeah, I do miss working on some of the cars. Like working at Toyota for 10 years, you get used to working on nice stuff. Stuff that's just designed to come apart nice. Well, what else do we need to cut off? I need to get on top of this truck. It is nice though that this truck is new. Sorry for whoever's watching this. I don't know if you can see this. I'm trying to cut these zip ties off so I can get this wiring harness out of here to rebuild it on this semi. Holy Jesus. But yeah, that DEF pump. One that's underneath, I guess it's an issue on these trucks. And we luckily had the driver go pick up a new one. But now this connector has a bunch of rotted pins on it. And I gotta rebuild it, so. If I can get this thing out of here, then we're away to the races. Tricky to hold the camera and cut these off. I like the flush cuts. They cut really nice, but I almost need my long side cutters, to be honest. There we go. Okay, now that's free. Let's see, how many more do we have to get off? I think that's it. Oh, there's one more. That sucks. Focus, you bastard. Anyhow, it's down there. Let's see, I need my trim tool. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get down there. Oh, I wonder if I can get in from the side. Oh. Nope. I don't know. Yeah, they really put some of these connectors, like, this is a sub harness, so it's pretty nice that they leave you a sub harness and it's not a main harness, right? But then it's just a pain in the ass to get apart. Like, you try to, it's just attached everywhere, which I get it, you know, you don't want a harness flopping around. This truck's on the road all the time. It's a semi truck, right? Well, can we get in behind there with a pry bar, baby? Get out of the way. Okay, I'm trying to get this thing to focus. Obviously you don't want to focus, but that little nub that's down there is the end of a Christmas tree clip. I call them Christmas tree clip because they look like a Christmas tree. And they are just a press fit thing. See, they look like that. And they go in through a hole, and they go in real nice, and they're a pain in the ass to get out. So I gotta go get a pry bar, I think. Stick it down in there and try to get this off. Let's go for a walk to the toolbox. I got this Camaro all ripped apart. Just actually rebuilt the engine on it. Looks nice. Actually only has the V6 in it, which sucks. Let's see. This one. Let's take this one. And probably want this one too. Yeah, so the tone ring actually shifted on that engine, and the computer thinks that it's out of time. And GM wanted like $5,000 our cost for a crank. I was like, no, ain't doing it. So we just heated it up and used a pry bar, 2 pry bars. We were able to get it to move back. We drilled a hole into the cranks, put a set screw in it. My guy's super happy about that. All right, let's see. Yeah, to be quite honest, I work way too much, but I love it. It's what makes you good. Makes you good as a mechanic. Sorry, guys. I know I can give you a crappy angle, but I'm trying to focus. Getting this out. There we go. You gotta think outside the box sometimes. Get this damn thing out. Got a million lines in your way. It's a real pain in the ass. Anyhow. Come on. Work with me, baby. Oops. I love these Snap-on lights. They come in like a set of 3 with a bank charger. They work awesome. I just picked those up last Friday. Truck had a sale on. I think it was like $400. Regular $500. I know they're expensive, but man, I love lights. Especially in this shop, it is so dim. Oh yeah, by the way, somebody put a light up on the ceiling right above the fan, so talk about, you can see it on the reflection. Talk about seizure, man. Okay, what the hell are you attached to? Oh, zip tied. One more zip tie. Imagine that. Right down there. Ties onto all of the other lines. Let's just cut that. Bear with me for a second. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. This is gonna be a real pain. Come on. Well, we're almost there. We got one more connection. If I can get this thing out. There. Aha, we got it. Perfect. Okay, so we got our harness now. That was a bit of a fight. Not too bad though. 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Oh, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Okay, now I'm gonna bring this thing over to the table. So we're gonna try to rebuild this thing. Tools on tools on tools. Let's sit down here. Take a look. Okay, so this thing plugs into here, right? Almost need to get my stand to show you. Okay, so this outer collar, there, it sits like that. That plugs into there. So this yellow lock slides out, right? Which allows it to come off. Now, underneath of the truck, I'll show you what we're working with. I gotta rebuild this. So let's go underneath of the truck. Down the greasy old steps of death. Into the pit. Okay, so here's the old pump. This is where it failed, okay? Gross. It's a shame. The truck's not even that old. But you can see that one of those pins is missing. Left side, second one down. Rotted right off. And that, I believe, is either coolant or DEF. It is the DEF pump, but I think in the service manual it said that something about coolant going through there as well. Maybe something to do with the heating circuit to keep the coolant or keep the DEF from freezing, right? Because we do live in Canada, so that's a thing that happens. But these pumps are known to go bad, so anyhow, that's where it failed. Leaking right out of the damn connector. Now we can go back up. You know what I'm talking about. So I've already taken this connector apart and took the pin out of it, and or the electrical contact pin on the pump side that was stuck in the connector side. I was able to get that out, but the pins are all corroded in there. They're all nasty, so they got to be changed. But like I say, this truck needs to be ready for tomorrow morning. It needs to go out, so that's where these come into play. Big old bucket of trusty wires here. Now we gotta find ourselves some pins. I'm actually gonna grab my camera stand so you can see what the hell I'm doing, not walking around. So yeah, we need to try to rebuild this connector. Find ourselves some pins that fit on here nicely. See if we can get something here. Got all different kinds of pins. I only need this to work for a couple days without any issues. So let's see, those are too small. That'll be too big. Let's try some Dodge ones. Okay, what about this size? That fits pretty good. So what I'm going to try to do is basically find a bunch of pins that are exactly this size. Okay, I got to make sure that they're the right gauge of wire though, right? We don't want to stick tiny wires on there when really they're that gauge. And then I'm basically going to depin this connector till it's an empty body, and then drop down all my selected wires that I choose. I'm gonna plug the connector in here. It's just gonna be empty, no wires in it. And then I'm gonna feed the new wires in. And I'm probably just gonna fill it full of epoxy, like the top of the connector, because this thing's getting changed anyways. We're putting a new one on. This piece here is kind of busted. That's why this like slides on and off. Not really a huge deal though, because this is gonna lock the outer portion onto the body, right? So the body of the inner portion cannot slide up and out. It can only go down. So when it's locked in place, it's locked in place. It's good to go. But I need to rebuild this. I've done this before actually on a Jeep Cherokee. It was on the rear diff for the locker. The connector or the wires got all chewed off for some reason. I don't know what happened, but I ended up just taking all the wiring out and then finding wiring that fit and stuffed it all in there. It doesn't lock in place like it's supposed to. I actually had to take a small drill bit and drill all these holes out so that the new wiring connector pins, like these here, would actually fit in. And then they would have good connection because they were the right like size really to slide on there. And then I would just sort of glue them all in place. So that was sweet. But anyhow, see if I can get this camera to friggin' stay. Get my phone on here. Okay. So, first things first, when you're rebuilding these things, there is no instruction manual on what to do. Nobody tells you what to do. You have to figure it out yourself. It's a puzzle. So, I just had this thing apart, so I know exactly what I gotta do, but there's a cover that goes over this thing first. It's pretty obvious. There's a bunch of tabs that you take and pry them apart, thing comes off. And you got your primary lock, keeps the connector on the component. A couple tabs on the inside of that, take that thing off. Then the next step is to separate the outer shell from the inner shell of the connector. And there's 2 slots on the inside, here and here, on the outside, the top portion. Stick flathead screwdriver in there and push those in. You can see obviously they're a bit misshaped, but whatever, it works. Get that out of the road, leaves you with this. And you got your primary lock that holds all the pins in place inside of the connector. So it keeps all the pins inside from just falling out. So now, we can move that. Sides of that and this lift up. And I need my friggin' tools. Grab my tools so that I can take that thing apart. Flies are going to be the death of me, I tell you. Driving me nuts all night. There we go. I'm going to take this piece off. Now, we can take our pins out. So we can see some of them are clean. and some of them are very corroded, not nice. So I'm going to be replacing the not nice ones. And so the thing about truck wiring, which I just sort of learned when I started working here. I only worked on light car and truck beforehand, but the thing about truck wiring is they're all the same damn color. It's white with a green, or white with an orange tracer, or sometimes they're just all solid white, or sometimes they're all solid gray. You get like a wiring harness that's like friggin' that thick, all the same wires, same color wires. Are you kidding me? How am I gonna find the one that I need? I got a broken wire in there somewhere. Trying to find it. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Truck industry is crazy. So I'm gonna cut this back. What they do though for you is they actually label. They write on the wire what circuit it's controlling. The problem with that is when these get wet and you start handling them, it rubs that off. So even though it's printed like every 6 inches on the wire, what circuit it is, still like rubs off. I've had harnesses that get all wet on the inside, and then friggin' letters rub off. It's like, great, now what? How am I looking at? Thank you for the comment there, Mr. Houdini. Let me know what you think is impressive. Oh yeah, have you ever seen this stuff? This is called Stabilant 22A. It's a mixture of basically alcohol and coolant. It's ethylene glycol and alcohol, I think, but it's like a contact enhancer. It's pretty sweet. If you have like a really crappy corroded wire, you can like put some of that stuff on there. It'll like restore the connection. At least gets you by. What the hell was I looking for? Oh yeah, side cutters. At least gets you by for the meantime. Yeah, not cheap stuff. If you were to buy that, I think from your local parts truck or whatever, some of it's like $100 or $120 for that little bottle. It's crazy. Go back there. Can you see me? There, that's better. Okay, so let's cut this back a little bit. The tape that we use on these too, like it's like hockey tape, but like 20 times worse. Drives me nuts. You can't just get in there and rip it open when you're looking for a wiring issue. It's a pain in the ass to cut. And the way they ravel it up too, it's always from like, I guess, well, I don't know where it would start. I guess like back over here, but it's always like somewhere that's like tied together. They start raveling up. Sorry, the compressor just kicked on. But, they wrap the tape up from like, it's always seems like the wrong direction. You can't get to the tape when you're at the connector end where you need to start unraveling. Okay, so that should be good. I got 6 inches or so. So, I don't know if you can see that, but there's some writing on there. It shows the circuit that it's for. It usually gives you an abbreviation of the circuit. So like that one says PMP, so I'm guessing pump 1. And that may correlate to whatever's on the wiring diagram. And that's maybe the power for pump 1 for the diesel exhaust pump. So what I'm going to do actually now is one by one pull these wires out and inspect them. So this one's okay. And another thing to take note of, if you guys that are watching and work in a shop and you're going to be doing stuff like this, which hopefully you do one day, hopefully you get into stuff like this. I don't want to get off track with this again. they go in a certain way, right? That's what I was trying to say. So just watch if you want to put it back in. Usually what I'll do is look at the face of the connector and see like, okay, well, it has to go in this way. It can't go in sideways like that. It either go in this way or turn it around 180 degrees and go in that way. And looks like it doesn't matter. Stick it in there, you hear it click. You know you're good to go. But yeah, no, it's good that if you work in a shop, you should get into this kind of stuff. You should do the stuff that you're afraid to do. That you're not, like you don't know how to do it, that's the stuff that you need to do. You need to learn. Because it's when you learn that stuff that you become more confident, and working in the trade actually becomes fun. When you master what you do, that's when it becomes fun. Okay, so I got these terminal tools from Snap-on, about a whole kit of them. Of course, none of them work for what I need right now. So. The holes that are in the end of this connector are so small, they're like, you need like needles to go in there. So, I actually have these T-pins for back probe testing. They're from, they're in the sewing section. You can buy them at like Walmart or wherever. They look like that. Well, they're just little needles. And they work good for going in. So you got like the main hole where the terminal from the component goes into that makes contact with the pin on the inside. Then beside that hole on either side, there's two smaller holes. And that's for to release the locking tab on the connector terminal. So it slides down and it basically presses that in and allows the pin to then slide out. So these, I don't really like these style of connectors. I think they're called a Deutsch connector. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But that connector, these connectors on semi-trucks, they're just a pain to deal with. They just suck. So, yeah, basically when I started working as a mechanic, I was working at Toyota. And I was really not good at electrical because I was never given electrical very often. And so I just didn't have a lot of practice at it. So I sucked at it. I knew some stuff. I wasn't completely terrible with it, but I wasn't the best. So it wasn't until I left there and started working for Dodge where like I got wiring issues given to me like every day. Because at Toyota, like Toyotas don't have a lot of wiring issues, so you know, getting to work on a lot of them, you're doing a lot of maintenance and stuff, and recalls and whatever. But then you go to work at Dodge, it's like wiring issue, wiring problem. So you get really good at it. But it's funny because when I started, electrical was like what I hated the most. And now electrical is like what I love to do the most. It's usually pretty clean. I get to sit down and do stuff like this. So, all right. This one needs to be changed out. You can see it's got this little rubber yellow portion on there. That's it's called a weather pack. So it's just a little piece of rubber that seats in the connector. You can see this one has one too, this green one. And that just keeps moisture out of the connector. So that connector is weather packed because it sits on the outside of the vehicle. And if they were not weather packed, then moisture would get in there and it would corrode out the pins in no time. And it's hilarious because that's what Dodge does. On the bottom of their modules, the fuse block under the hood, they got these great big connectors, like 96 pin connectors that plug in. And I actually have, here's one of them right here. And they don't weather pack the friggin' things. Guess what? They'll rot out. Guaranteed. 5 years down the road, the truck comes back, problems. And it's just, if the guy who works on it fixes just the one wire, it comes back the next year, and then it comes back in 6 months. And then it just, like, the customer gets so pissed off that they're like, this is ridiculous. It's like, it's just the way the manufacturer designed it. Sorry. So Dodge does have some good part selection, I guess you could say, because they have like wiring repair kit with connectors and everything. That's why I got all these wires. They send you every wire and the connector body so that you can just plug it all in, cut the wires and wire them all in, and you got a brand new connector with wiring ends. Because you got to do that on some of them. Like, the corrosion just spreads and it eats up all these terminals. And then you got circuits dropping off line left, right, center. You got problems, lights on the dash, issues, no start, you name it. Dodge has got it. I don't mean to pick on Dodge, but it's true, man. I ain't lying. Funny thing is, though, they send you the wiring repair kit with all the same color wires. So you gotta cut all these wires that are all different colors. Obviously, you're paying attention to what circuits you're wiring. I usually do like a couple at a time so that I don't chop them all off and forget which ones go where. But then you end up replacing them with all white wires. But come on. Why you gotta do that? So, anyhow, getting back to this thing here, I need to go digging and find out which wires are gonna work. Because we're gonna need some. Now this connector body is a 12 pin connector body, and I'm gonna say it's, you can see through the side of the connector, so I can make a good determination if they're corroded or not. Looks like I'm gonna need 5 pins, so I need to go on the hunt for 5 pins, and I need to try to find pins that will fit, and also pins that have the right gauge of wire. So, pulling that out. Oh, those pins are gold. They actually have 24 karat gold plated terminals on the inside. They do that for excellent connections, and also because gold does not tarnish or corrode. I don't know if you knew that or not, but so they use those for like airbag circuits and stuff that just like they do not want to be compromised. It's pretty cool, but they are expensive. There's an airbag terminal, gold pins. Some pins are male, some pins are female. See, female, male. Slide together, maybe not, they're not the right size, but you get the idea. This one is leather pad. There's another big connector. That was off of an Eco Diesel that blew up, went to the junkyard. So the boys and I got it, pick it apart for some pieces. I do have a lot of Toyota wiring in here too. I acquired a lot of my wiring. That's what I need right there. I acquired a lot of my wiring through parts cars. So I'd buy a cheap car and pay a couple $100 for it, then I'd tear it apart, obviously sell a bunch of the pieces, but I would completely pull out a whole wiring harness. So I have like 5 wiring harnesses sitting in my house, and then I'd just watch Netflix, and I would take apart entire wiring harnesses of cars. And it was really good practice. That's how I got really good at like deep pinning connectors and understanding that every connector is different. They're all puzzle and just sort of how they work. I got really good at doing that. And then obviously I raveled up every wire that was good and built my little collection of wiring here. And I honestly use it all the time. Like, you can build this stuff out instead of buying like a repair kit from your manufacturer. Sometimes you don't have time to do that. Sometimes, like in a case like this, I get a call at 6 o'clock right after supper. Hey, we got a truck that's down. You come in and fix it. It needs to be ready to go for 5 a.m. Sure, no problem. So I'll come in. Got an issue like this where we need to rebuild this. I got lots of wiring to choose from. I'm not thinking around trying to find different things in the shop, looking for stuff that we don't have, yada yada yada. Those would probably work too. So that's what I get to do tonight. Being a mechanic, it's pretty fun. I'm glad that I chose this career. I like it because of the variety of things. My friend sort of brought that to my attention that you never really work on the same thing all the time, right? So, yeah, that's true. You get lots of variety, different things that come in. It always changes, and you never know what's going to come in. Keeps your thought process sharp. That's for sure. It's always a puzzle that comes in. Sometimes you get maintenance as well, but anyway.